The sheep here remind me that the world moves on, while some things in the mountains of Wales remain the same. They still canter in front of cars, slowing down the pace of life. 40 years ago, just getting to Craigavon from Ireland was an adventure in itself. The journey fractured with family squabbles and pregnant with the expectation of 2 weeks with cousins and friends. It was easy to be enchanted by this part of Snowdonia. It is an ancient place. Early man made his home here, and chieftains treasured it as tourists do now. 800 feet above the golden sands of Barmouth and the Maudoc estuary, perched on the slopes of Cadaridris. Some call them the finest mountain lakes in Wales, full of unusual flora and fauna, both under the surface and above. The smaller lake is now stocked with rainbows, but the big lake, where the house once stood, is home to wild brown trout. It is a twitcher's paradise, with myriad flycatchers. The birds, like me, may only be seasonal visitors, but Craigavon feels like home to them. Place Craigavon was a homely wooden Canadian chalet built in 1897 and demolished in 1991. The only reminder now is White Gate going nowhere and a marker stone. It was a fantastic place to stay as a child. While the adults and older children fished, I paddled in the shallows and fell in love with the water. I looked on enviously as they cast from the shore or from the boat. To fish it now feels like the completion of a circle. And while the house may be gone, the boathouse is still here, and the swallows make their home there just as they did 40 years ago. Though a wholly inadequate caster of a fly, I will persevere. It is my father's rod and reel, and I feel in some small way that he is here with me. He would recognise the place. So little has changed. The rocky hill, which I can't pronounce, still watches over the lakes. We called it Breakfast Mountain and climbed it before our cornflakes. But I tumbled down it when I was 7, which brought a premature end to my last holiday here. I never came back until now. I imagine Ireland sitting there in the distance. I'm halfway between my home in London and where I grew up across the Irish Sea. Halfway home, whichever way you look at it.
Take me halfway home. Take me halfway home.
Breakfast Mountain has been kind to us, and we could clearly see the drop into deeper water from its summit, and to explore a place by foot is to know it intimately. The heather that circles the lake gives way to a rocky shore, and despite some precarious footholds, there are promising spots within easy reach of a short cast. Small meps should do the trick for hungry mountain trout. It is stark but not bare. It is nuanced, rich in its own way, enriching for me. It is good to be back. To catch a trout would be wonderful. For me, where I fish is as important as what I am fishing for. I enjoy the connection to history. I savour the sense of place. I perhaps even have a better idea of who I am when I'm here. Craighannon was once owned by Major Charles Llewellyn Wynne Jones, father of my late Aunt Nancy and father-in-law to my Uncle Connor. The Major gifted it to the National Trust in 1957 in honour of his two sons who died in World War II. He planted the conifers on the islands and they continued to reach for the sky, preventing the memory of their sacrifice from fading, just as the presence of the trout will forever draw me back. To fish here is to remind myself that the wilder places call to me as much as the voices of my ancestors. I count myself lucky to hear them.